The waiting room smelled like medicine, coffee, and rain-soaked clothes. A baby cried near the reception desk while an old television played cheerful music nobody cared about. I sat quietly, holding my purse against my chest. My name is Eleanor Hayes. I'm 72 years old. And 6 months ago, my husband died while pouring cream into my coffee. That morning had started so normally. Walter stood in the kitchen wearing his gray sweater, singing terribly off-key. I laughed softly. Walter, please stop singing before the neighbors complain. Ha ha, you married this voice willingly, Eleanor. Oh, I definitely regret it now. Ah, liar. Those were the last happy words we ever shared. 10 minutes later, his coffee cup slipped from his hand. Crash. Walter? He collapsed before I could reach him. No, Walter, please! My knees hit the floor beside him while tears flooded my eyes. But his eyes never opened again. Since that day, silence had become unbearable. No more laughter from the garage. No more warm hand reaching for mine during movies. No more sleepy voice whispering good night. Just emptiness. The only thing keeping me together was my daughter, Claire. Or at least, that's what I believed. After Walter died, Claire suddenly became caring and helpful. She visited often, brought groceries, handled paperwork. Sometimes she even cried while hugging me. "Oh, Mom," she whispered once, "Dad loved you so much." And every single time I believed her. That afternoon at the clinic, my phone rang. The second I saw Claire's name, I smiled. "Hi, sweetheart." But her voice immediately felt cold. "Mom, listen carefully because I'm busy." My chest tightened. "We're flying to Spain tomorrow morning," she continued quickly. "Nathan found an opportunity there, and we needed extra money, so we sold the lake house and your truck." Silence. I blinked slowly. "Huh? The paperwork's already done," she sighed impatiently. "We transferred some money into your account, so you'll manage for a while." For a while, like I was some burden. My fingers started trembling around the phone. "Claire," my voice cracked, "that house belonged to your father and me." "I know, Mom, but what were you even going to do with it?" A painful laugh escaped me. "Huh, you sold it. Mom, don't make this dramatic." Dramatic. That lake house held 40 years of memories. Walter built the porch himself. Claire learned how to swim there. Every Christmas, we sat near the fireplace drinking hot chocolate while snow covered the lake outside. And the truck, oh God, Walter adored that old blue truck. After he died, his jacket still hung behind the driver's seat. Sometimes I sat inside the truck just to smell his cologne again. Claire knew all of this. She knew. And she sold everything anyway. "Mom, are you crying?" Her voice sounded uncomfortable. Not concerned, uncomfortable. I covered my mouth as tears slipped down my face. No, but the sob escaped anyway. "Ha! Mom, please don't start weeping. Nathan already handled everything legally." Legally. My own daughter spoke to me like a business problem. Then suddenly her voice softened in that fake sweet tone people use when they know they've done something terrible. "You'll be okay." Click. The line disconnected. Just like that. 46 years of motherhood reduced to a 2-minute phone call. I stared blankly at the dark phone screen while life continued around me. Someone laughed near the desk. The baby stopped crying. But inside me, something shattered. "Oh, Walter," I whispered shakily. "What happened to our little girl?" Then suddenly, a memory hit me hard. 3 days before Walter died, he handed me a brown envelope. "Keep this somewhere safe," he said quietly. "What is it? Something important." Should I open it? No. His eyes turned serious. "Only when you truly need to." The envelope. Oh my God, I had forgotten completely. It was still inside my dresser at home. By the time I reached home, my hands were shaking badly. The house looked painfully unchanged. Walter's slippers still sat beside the couch. His glasses still rested near the lamp. I slowly opened the dresser drawer. And there it was, the brown envelope, exactly where he left it. To Eleanor. Written in Walter's careful handwriting. "Ah, Walter!" I carried the envelope carefully to the bed while thunder rumbled softly outside. Because somehow, deep inside me, I already knew whatever waited inside that envelope was about to change everything. But when Eleanor opens Walter's hidden envelope, she discovers a secret so shocking that Claire has no idea. She just betrayed the most powerful person in her life. Hush. Just give me a second. Thunder rumbled softly outside while I sat on the edge of the bed holding the brown envelope against my chest. My hands trembled so badly I could barely breathe. To Eleanor. Just seeing Walter's handwriting made tears fill my eyes again. "Aw, Walter," I whispered. For several seconds I couldn't even open it, because somehow touching that envelope felt like touching him again. Finally, with shaking fingers, I opened it carefully. Inside were papers, dozens of them, property documents, bank records, insurance files, and beneath everything else, a folded letter. The moment I saw Walter's handwriting again, my chest tightened painfully. I unfolded it slowly. "Dearest Eleanor," the letter began. A broken sob escaped my lips instantly. "Oh, God. If you are reading this," Walter wrote, "then I'm no longer beside you, and I know you're probably crying right now while pretending you're not." A painful laugh slipped through my tears. You still know me too well." I wiped my face quickly and kept reading. "For years, I kept certain things hidden because I wanted to protect you." My brows furrowed. Hidden? I quickly grabbed the documents beside me. And then my entire body froze. The first paper showed ownership records for the lake house, but not just the lake house, another property. Then another. Then another. My breathing became uneven. No, 7 rental homes, a marina, a downtown office building, bank accounts filled with amounts so large my vision blurred. Walter, what is all this? My fingers shook harder while flipping through the pages. Then suddenly I noticed another document underneath. Hayes Holdings, property ownership records. I scanned the address once, then again, and my heart nearly stopped. It was Claire's apartment building. The luxury apartment where Claire and Nathan lived belonged to us. I stared at the page in disbelief. No way! Tears rolled down my cheeks again while I grabbed Walter's letter desperately. "You may someday discover that Claire values comfort more than family," he wrote carefully. "I pray I'm wrong." Walter. Another tear slipped onto the paper. "She has a good heart, Eleanor, but she trusts the wrong people too easily. Nathan." Oh, God. Walter saw this coming long before I did. My chest hurt so badly I pressed my hand against it. "All I ever wanted," the letter continued, "was to make sure you would never suffer after I'm gone." That sentence shattered me completely. I bent forward, crying quietly into my hands. Not because of the money, not because of the properties, but because even after death, Walter was still protecting me. "Oh, Walter," I wept softly, "why didn't you tell me?" The room felt unbearably empty again. I looked toward his side of the bed instinctively, still untouched, still waiting for someone who would never come back. For one painful second, I imagined him sitting there smiling at me. Surprised you, didn't I, sweetheart?" A shaky laugh escaped me through tears. "You impossible man." Then suddenly anger rose inside me, not toward Walter, toward Claire. My daughter thought I was helpless, weak, alone. She sold my memories believing I had nothing left, but she had no idea who Walter truly was or what he left behind. The next morning, my phone rang again. Claire. I stared at the screen silently before answering. "Hi, Mom." Her voice sounded cheerful this time. "Did you receive the transfer?" Transfer. That word made my stomach twist. "Yes, we left enough for you to live comfortably for a while. Again, for a while." I closed my eyes slowly. "How much did you sell the lake house for?" "Oh," she hesitated briefly. "Nathan handled most of it." "Of course he did. And my share. We sent you 30%. 30%. A painful little laugh escaped my throat. Mom, nothing. 30% of my own property." Claire kept talking excitedly about Spain, investments, luxury apartments, beaches, but I barely listened anymore, because for the first time in my life, I could hear greed inside my daughter's voice, and it terrified me. Before hanging up, she sighed dramatically. "You'll be okay, Mom. Try not to stress so much." Click. Silence filled the room again. I slowly lowered the phone. Then I looked toward Walter's letter beside me, and suddenly, something inside me changed. The grief was still there. The heartbreak still burned. But underneath it now, strength appeared. Cold, sharp, steady. That afternoon, I opened another document from the envelope. A business card slipped out. Richard Lawson, attorney at law. I immediately remembered him. Walter trusted him more than anyone. For several seconds, I simply stared at the card while thunder echoed softly outside. Then finally I picked up the phone. The line rang twice. Lawson speaking. I swallowed hard. Hello, my voice trembled. This is Eleanor Hayes. Silence. Then suddenly his tone changed completely. Mrs. Hayes? Yes. Oh my goodness, his voice softened instantly. I've been waiting for your call. A chill ran through me. You knew about all this? Yes, he answered carefully. Your husband prepared everything years ago. Tears burned my eyes again. Even now, Walter had planned ahead, protected me, loved me. I think, I whispered shakily, my daughter made a terrible mistake. Mr. Lawson became quiet for a moment, then he sighed softly. Ha, Mrs. sighed softly. Hayes, I believe you're absolutely right. I slowly looked around the living room, at Walter's chair, his glasses, his favorite blanket folded neatly beside the couch, and suddenly, for the first time since his death, I didn't feel weak anymore, because Claire thought she abandoned a lonely old widow. But what she really abandoned was the woman who legally owned almost everything she valued most. While Claire celebrates her luxurious new life in Spain, Eleanor is about to uncover the horrifying truth about Nathan's secret debts, and soon her daughter will come begging to the mother she betrayed. For the next few weeks, I lived two different lives. To everyone around me, I was still the lonely widow abandoned by her daughter. Neighbors brought soup. Church friends hugged me tightly. Ah, Eleanor, you poor thing, Mrs. Harper whispered one afternoon. I smiled softly. Ha ha! I'm still surviving somehow, but behind closed doors, everything had changed. Every morning, I sat beside Walter's old desk with documents spread around me while Mr. Lawson explained the truth piece by piece. The lake house sale Claire arranged? Illegal. Nathan had forged signatures. The apartment building? Fully under my ownership. Even the luxury penthouse Claire lived in belonged to me. Sometimes I laughed in disbelief. Ha, Walter, you really planned everything. But the more we uncovered, the worse things became. Nathan wasn't successful. He was drowning in debt, loans, fraud, fake investments. My stomach twisted while reading the reports. Oh, God! One rainy afternoon, Mr. Lawson removed his glasses and sighed heavily. Mrs. Hayes, there's more. My chest tightened immediately. What now? Nathan borrowed money using Claire's name. My heart dropped. Huh, what? There are forged signatures everywhere. For several seconds I couldn't speak. I just stared silently at the papers while rain tapped softly against the windows. Claire betrayed me. But suddenly I realized she had also been betrayed herself. Aw, Claire, Mr. Enser. Lawson looked surprised. You still feel sorry for her after everything? I wiped my eyes slowly. She's still my daughter. A week later, Mrs. Harper knocked excitedly on my door. She's back. My heart skipped. Who? Claire. I froze instantly. Mrs. Harper leaned closer dramatically. She arrived alone with one suitcase, crying too. Alone? My chest tightened painfully. What about Nathan? Mrs. Harper lowered her voice. He stayed in Europe with another woman. For a moment I couldn't breathe. Ha! The man Claire destroyed her family for had abandoned her too. The next afternoon my phone rang. Claire. I stared at the screen silently before answering. Mom? Her voice shattered instantly into sobbing. Oh God, Mom, I closed my eyes slowly. What happened? Nathan left me. A broken cry escaped her throat. He took everything. Huh, all the money. Tears burned behind my eyes despite everything. The banks keep calling me, she continued weeping. And now I got some eviction notice saying I have 30 days to leave the apartment. The apartment I owned. Irony twisted painfully inside me. Mom, I don't understand anything anymore. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. I could hear her crying softly through the phone, and suddenly all my anger faded. Because beneath the betrayal, she still sounded like my little girl. Huh, I sighed shakily. Claire. Yes, you can come home. Silence, then louder sobbing. Ah, Mom, really? Yes. An hour later, I heard footsteps outside. I opened the front door before she could knock, and my heart broke instantly. Claire looked nothing like herself. Her expensive clothes were wrinkled. Mascara stained her cheeks. Dark circles sat beneath swollen eyes. Huh! For a second, I barely recognized her. The confident woman who sold my memories was gone. This woman looked broken. Mom! Her lip trembled violently. Then suddenly she burst into tears again. Oh God, I'm so sorry. For one painful moment, I saw 6-year-old Claire again after scraping her knee on the playground. Same tears, same trembling shoulders. Ah, I whispered softly. Without thinking, I pulled her into my arms. Immediately, she collapsed against me, sobbing uncontrollably. Ha, Mom, I ruined everything. I closed my eyes tightly while holding her. Part of me wanted answers. Part of me still hurt deeply. But another part, the mother inside me, only wanted her child safe. We sat together at the kitchen table afterward. Claire wrapped trembling fingers around a cup of tea while tears continued sliding down her face. Nathan lied about everything, she whispered. I stayed quiet. He said we'd be rich, successful, happy. A bitter laugh escaped her. Ha, God, I was so stupid. You were blinded, I answered softly. Then finally she looked directly at me. I hurt you, didn't I? That question pierced straight through my chest. Tears filled her eyes again. I sold Dad's memories like they meant nothing. Silence filled the kitchen. Then Claire broke completely. Oh, God, what's wrong with me? I watched my daughter cry while thunder echoed softly outside, and deep inside I realized life was already punishing her far more painfully than I ever could. But while Claire believes losing Nathan was the worst thing that could happen, she still has no idea her own mother secretly controls the very roof over her head. The next morning, Claire followed me nervously into Mr. Lawson's office. She kept glancing at me during the drive there. Mom, why do I feel like something serious is happening? I kept my eyes on the road. Because it is. By the time we entered the office, Claire's hands were already trembling slightly. Mr. Lawson greeted us quietly and placed several thick folders across the desk. Claire frowned immediately. What is all this? My chest tightened painfully. For one brief second, I almost stopped everything. Because once the truth came out, nothing between us would ever feel the same again. Mr. Lawson slowly adjusted his glasses. Claire, he said carefully, your father prepared certain arrangements years before his death. Claire looked confused. What arrangements? I reached into my purse and removed Walter's letter. The moment she saw his handwriting, her expression shattered instantly. Ah, Dad! Tears immediately filled her eyes. She took the letter carefully like something sacred. The room became silent except for the ticking clock on the wall. At first, Claire smiled softly while reading. Then her expression slowly changed. Confusion, shock, fear. Her. Her trembling hands moved quickly through the documents beside her. Property records, investment accounts, business ownership papers. Then finally, the apartment building documents. Claire froze completely. No way! Her breathing became uneven. No, this can't be real. Tears rolled down her cheeks while she looked between me and Mr. Lawson. You own my apartment building this entire time. I nodded quietly. Yes. And the eviction notice, Mr. Lawson sighed softly, was legally issued after the fraud investigation began? Claire covered her mouth with shaking fingers. Oh, God! Then suddenly another file slipped from the folder onto the floor. A photograph. Claire bent down slowly to pick it up, and the moment she saw it, she completely broke. It was an old photo of her and Walter at the lake house. Claire was 7 years old, laughing while Walter held her on his shoulders. On the back, Walter had written, My little girl will always have a home with me. The second Claire read those words, she burst into uncontrollable sobbing. Dad, I felt tears burning my own eyes instantly. You could have destroyed me, Claire cried while looking at me. After everything I did, you still let me come home. A painful sigh escaped my chest. Oh, Claire. I sold Dad's memories, she whispered brokenly. I treated you like a burden, her voice cracked badly. And all this time, you were still protecting me. Mr. Lawson quietly stood and left the office to give us privacy. The moment the door closed, Claire completely fell apart. "Oh God, what's wrong with me?" Without thinking, I moved beside her slowly. For one painful second, she looked exactly like the little girl who used to crawl into our bed during thunderstorms. Same trembling shoulders, same frightened eyes. "Hush," I whispered softly. Claire collapsed into my arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "Ha! Mom, I'm so sorry." I closed my eyes tightly while holding her, and suddenly all the anger I carried for months finally disappeared, not because what she did stopped hurting, but because pain had already changed her. After several minutes, Claire pulled away slowly and wiped her face. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I sighed quietly. "Because you needed to understand something first." She stared at me silently. I gently touched Walter's letter resting on the desk. "Your father spent his whole life protecting this family," I whispered. "But somewhere along the way, you started believing money mattered more than people." Fresh tears filled her eyes again. I couldn't save you from that lesson," I continued softly. "Life had to teach you itself." Claire lowered her head, crying silently. Then suddenly she whispered, "I thought losing money ruined my life." I looked at her quietly, but losing this family almost destroyed me instead. That sentence broke something inside me completely. Tears slipped down my cheeks before I could stop them. "Ah," Claire grabbed my hands tightly. "I don't care about the properties anymore," she cried softly. "I don't care about the money." Her voice trembled. "I just want my mom back." And for the first time in months, I smiled through tears. "Ha ha, sweetheart, you never lost me." Claire broke down again instantly and hugged me tightly. This time I cried with her, not from heartbreak, not from betrayal, but from relief. Months later, life slowly became peaceful again. Claire kept working even after her debts were cleared. "I need to earn my life honestly again," she insisted. And honestly, that made me proud. Together, we restored the lake house during summer. One evening, while painting the porch, Claire suddenly laughed softly. "Ha ha! Dad would absolutely hate this paint color." I laughed too. Ugh, he'd complain for weeks. For the first time since Walter's death, the laughter didn't hurt anymore. It healed. That night, Claire and I sat quietly beside the lake, watching the sunset reflect across the water. The air smelled like pine trees and summer rain. Soft wind moved through the porch curtains Walter built with his own hands years ago. Then suddenly Claire rested her head gently on my shoulder, just like she used to as a little girl. "Huh," she whispered softly. "I finally understand why Dad loved this place so much." I looked toward the glowing water while tears filled my eyes again, because somehow, for one peaceful moment, it felt like Walter was still there with us, smiling, watching, protecting his family one last time. And deep inside my heart, I finally understood something. Walter's greatest inheritance was never the money, not the properties, not the business. It was bringing his broken family back together before it was too late. And this time, we were never letting each other go again.